Welcome back to Every Other Carl. I'm Carl, and today I'm at Tamarack in Idaho. This place is really interesting. This may not technically be the newest resort in the USA, but it's at least in the top 3, and I think one of them is strictly backcountry, the other is like a tiny little locals mountain. So this one, pretty much the newest resort in the US. Tamarack is a bit over 2 hours north of the Boise airport. It sits above the very large Lake Cascade, which provides some beautiful views. There isn't a whole lot of infrastructure in the surrounding areas. There is a little town of Donnelly and a little town of McCall. There's a grocery store, a few gas stations, a few pizza places. That's about it. Real small towns. My wife and I stayed at a surprisingly nice Super 8 motel in McCall, which was a perfect place to be between Tamarack and the mountain we skied the next day, Brundage. Subscribe to see that next video. Like I said, Tamarack is basically the newest proper ski resort in the US. It has a very interesting backstory, which I'll get into later. Tamarack has a 2,800-foot vertical drop with a summit elevation of 7,700 feet. That's moderately high up, but it's not necessarily going to give you altitude sickness or make you have to acclimatize the way a Colorado resort might if you were coming from a lower elevation. Tamarack has 1,100 lift-access skiable acres with 17% beginner, 45% intermediate, and 38% advanced terrain. All right, so this is my first time skiing in Idaho. I'm at Tamarack, like I said, and this is a pretty interesting place in terms of skiing. It is pretty big, but it's not as big as you would expect. That's kind of what I'm coming away with right now. They call it 7 lifts. It's really 3 main lifts. They've got one really long quad that goes to the mid-mountain, and then there's a summit quad that goes all the way to the top. From there you have, I think there is a green trail, but it's primarily blacks and blues, some double blacks. And then there's a whole other area that's kind of a second base. Today it's not open, so I haven't made it over there. It's really early in the season. It's December 8th, so it's not the best snow conditions, and they haven't had a ton of snow yet. But there is plenty of natural snow in the trees and on the trails, and they are also supplementing it with blowing, especially on the green trails. I have to say the story of this place is really unique. The story of Tamarack is riddled with intrigue. The mountain was initially started in the 80s under the name Velbois, but ended up going out of business in 1995. A different group tried to develop it again in 1998 under the name West Rock, and eventually changed the name to Tamarack. But there were no lifts on the mountain until 2004. According to Wikipedia, the tennis star Andre Agassi was going to invest in developing the resort during this time, but his company decided to withdraw from the project in 2008. This latest effort to develop Tamarack again shut down in 2009, and the mountain was closed for a bit until a municipal organization took over to run operations. There had been hundreds of homes sold around the resort into the 2000s, and many remained unfinished as Tamarack struggled to take off. This earned the resort the name Tyvek Town, since many of the buildings only had house wrap for years. Some still did when we were there. There's more to the story of Tamarack that I don't fully understand, like a previous lead developer who allegedly fled the country after failing to meet financial demands, but all that seems to be in the past. Tamarack was most recently bought again in 2018 and has finally completed their base village. Many of the Tyvek homes are now done, and a mid-mountain lodge that was under construction for years was opened the week before we got here in December of 2024. All right, I'm skiing from the summit right now. I think I'm on Ooh La La. I can't exactly tell. It is super foggy up here. I rode the chair up with some locals a little while ago, and they told me that it is quite often foggy up here, so maybe this isn't even that abnormal. often comment on my video asking what camera I'm using to get those like follow shots. They look kind of like drone shots. It's not a drone. It's an Insta360 camera. This is the Insta360 X2. They have a new one out too. I'm not sponsored by them, but I absolutely love this camera. So if you want to learn more about it, I'll leave a link in the description. I've been skiing for several hours now and I have a pretty good feel of this mountain. This isn't the type of mountain where you need days upon days to explore the entire area. You can get a good feel of it in a day or in a weekend, but there is tons of stuff to keep you interested. There's plenty of tree skiing, there's plenty of double diamond steeps, there's some off-piste stuff, and there's a whole backcountry that people are really passionate about around here. It's not the easiest mountain. There is a small beginner's area at the base, but as far as greens and blues go out here, when you're mid-mountain and up, they're kind of tough. The view is pretty spectacular. You have that beautiful lake back there. That's Lake Cascade. Pretty unique for a ski resort to have that giant lake beneath it. I don't know what it is. It's December 8th, sure. It's early in the season, but there are zero lines here. The lack of crowds was pretty amazing. We were skiing here on a Sunday, and it felt like we had the place to ourselves. After skiing into the early afternoon, I met up with my wife, who was waiting in what turned out to be one of the best base area food courts I've ever experienced at a ski resort. This place was brand new. It was sort of a tiered, multi-level eating and hangout space with everything from a legit diner area to a proper coffee shop. If you're new to my channel, I usually review the chicken fingers and fries at every resort that I visit. I think it gives a good idea of the price and quality of the food. Tamarack shocked me. Not only did they have every dipping sauce you could want, but the quality and price were the best I've seen. Alright, these chicken fingers and fries are not what you typically get at a ski resort. These look extraordinary. Very gourmet. And they are officially the cheapest chicken finger and fry combo I've ever seen. Because for $12 you get the chicken finger, fries, and a drink. Tamarack is officially the cheapest fingers and fries I've reviewed. And they have finally ousted Whistler Blackcomb to become my new favorite quality. I might have to reorganize how I do this leaderboard. I'm not loving the layout. Anyway, I've reviewed a lot of ski mountains, and I do a lot more stuff on my channel too, so please subscribe. After lunch, my wife and I went back out to take some runs together. I took a few more runs myself before heading back to the lodge for some free s'mores, something Tamarack apparently does every weekend. Cool thing about Tamarack is absolutely everything feels brand new. Does that track?
That's wonderful.
All right, that's going to do it for Tamarack. Man, this place is interesting. The most interesting backstory of any ski resort that I've heard of in a long time. The greatest chicken finger and fry combo with drink that I've seen. It tops my list. And the skiing is actually really good. I'm kind of afraid to tell anybody about this place. I want to say don't come here because it is so great. And there was absolutely nobody here on a Sunday in December. I don't know what's going on, but this place is great. It is a little bit smaller than I expected, maybe a little bit smaller than you would expect, but with lift lines so small, that doesn't matter. So it is a hat place, and final word is I definitely recommend Tamarack, Idaho. Tomorrow I'm skiing Brundage, so we'll check that one out. All right, but if you like the video, like the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comments section below. Please subscribe, and until next time, I'm Every Other Carl, and I'll see ya.